ABCs of Anarchy. I want to tell you about anarchism. I want to tell you about anarchism because I think that it's well that you should know all about it. I want to tell you about anarchism because everything that you've heard about it is wrong. I want to tell you about anarchism because I believe anarchism is the finest and neatest thing that has ever been invented. I want to tell you about anarchism because anarchism is the only thing that can give you liberty and well-being and bring peace and joy to the world. A is for anarchy. The word anarchy literally means without rulers, without leaders, or without masters. Any definition more or less than that is a matter of personal opinion. You might apply anarchy to your life in a way that is completely different from anyone else. What masters do you have in your life? What would a world without masters be like? B is for black bloc. A black bloc is a group of people dressed in black to represent either mass solidarity for a cause or mass resistance to oppression. For what cause would you gather your friends together in a black bloc? How can joining together in a black bloc help anything? C is for critical mass. Critical mass is an informal direct action involving a leaderless group traveling through town on bicycles or other human-powered vehicles. Some participants may want to show support for safe bicycle travel on the roads. Others may just want to get together for a nice bike ride with friends. What kind of vehicles do you use regularly? Where is the farthest place you have walked or cycled to? D is for DIY. DIY stands for do it yourself. You don't always have to rely on experts or professionals. You are an amazing person with many talents and skills, with the brains to learn how to do anything you want. What sorts of projects can you do by yourself? What is something you want to learn to do by yourself? E is for egalitarian. In an egalitarian system, all people have equal access or opportunity to power and resources. Whom do you feel more or less important than? Why might someone want to have more power than someone else? F is for food, not bombs. Food, not bombs is a gathering of people who believe that no one should ever go hungry. Every week, local Food Not Bombs chapters obtain free food to cook and share with anyone who wants it. Would you ever consider eating food that has been thrown into the garbage? What is the longest amount of time that you have gone hungry? G is for gender role. The term gender role refers to how society expects you to behave based on your sex. In reality, however, few behaviors or preferences are determined by whether you are a boy or a girl. Why do you think some toys and activities are considered either masculine or feminine? What are some toys or activities that you don't associate with any gender? H is for hierarchy. Hierarchy is a systematic tool for organizing people or things for the purposes of assigning order and importance, achieving a goal, or deconstructing and understanding a concept or issue. How do you organize your daily activities? How do you and your family make decisions? I is for info shop. An info shop is a place where you can go to find radical books and zines, learn about local events, attend workshops and readings, and sometimes even catch punk rock shows. What was the last book you read? What was it about? Where do you go to find out what's happening in your community? J is for job. A job is work one does in exchange for money. Many people work a job 8 or more hours of the day, drastically reducing the number of hours they have to enjoy life with their family and friends. What is the difference between work you do for fun and work you do because someone tells you to? What do you think would happen if everyone suddenly quit their jobs? K is for kabouter. Kabouter is the Dutch word for gnome, and also the name taken by a group of Dutch anarchists who used pranks, civil disobedience, and sabotage to expose problems like police brutality, housing shortages, and the destruction of the environment. The kabouters became so popular that people even voted them to serve in the local city council. If you thought something was wrong with your community, how could you tell people about it? What is an example of a prank that could help inform, educate, or amuse people? L is for Liberation Front. Liberation is the state of complete freedom. A liberation front is a group of people determined to help others attain a life of freedom. Liberation fronts have been formed to aid animals, oppressed people, the earth, and even billboards. Why might anything or anyone need help being liberated? How can you support others who are attempting to liberate themselves? M is for mutual aid. Mutual aid is the voluntary sharing of resources and services. Describe a time when you helped someone in need. What are some resources or services you can offer other people? N is for nihilism. Nihilism is the rejection of traditional values. A nihilist may choose to build his or her own cultural system of morals from scratch in order to reflect the needs and desires of current society. Describe some traditions or aspects of your culture that may not make sense in your life. What are some traditions or morals that you would choose to include in your own cultural world? O is for organize. To organize means to create order or systemize things to accomplish goals and objectives. Organizing may involve assigning tasks, establishing directives, or creating charts, maps, and documents. What sorts of activities do you enjoy that are organized? Describe a situation which would be better if things weren't organized. P is for propaganda. Propaganda is any type of media that is created specifically to further the doctrines or principles of an organization or movement. At best, propaganda is informative and thought-provoking. At worst, it is deceptive and damaging. In what way is this book a piece of propaganda? What sorts of propaganda do you encounter during an average day? Q is for question authority. Authority refers to anyone or thing in the position of imposing power over you. To question authority means to ask questions or express views or opinions that differ from those of an authority figure. To whom have you decided to look for guidance, leadership, and advice? Describe a time you corrected or questioned someone who had more experience than you. R is for rewild. Rewilding means learning to live without any tools or artifacts of civilization. Some rewilding activities include foraging, hunting, firemaking, and building primitive structures. Describe something you know how to make from scratch. Why might someone believe that modern civilization has been harmful to ourselves and our world? S is for squat. A squat is an empty, vacant, or neglected structure that someone has decided to turn into a living space. What makes a house or an apartment a home? How do you think the very first people bought property? And from whom did they buy it? T is for train hopping. Train hopping is the art of sneaking onto trains and riding to your destination for free. While train hopping, you can see some amazing parts of the country that you might not normally experience. To where might you like to hop a train? What sorts of difficulties do you think you would encounter while train hopping across the country? U is for unschool. Unschooling is the process of children learning from real-world, hands-on, self-guided experiences, rather than from a classroom setting. Parents involved in unschooling recognize that all children love to learn, and do so best when following their own instincts. What are some things you would do if you chose to stop attending school? What is one activity you planned for yourself to do this week? V is for voluntary participation. Voluntary participation is actively choosing to be part of something. As a liberated being, you have the right and obligation to act on your own free will, to participate in activities on a consensual basis. Describe a situation where someone might try to force you to do something you don't want to do. What are some consequences of asserting your right to voluntarily participate? W is for without borders. A border is something that divides one area from another. Dictators and nation-states divide the world into political zones as they see fit. However, viewing the Earth from space, we see a world without political borders. A world where the only boundaries are the great mountains and the vast seas. What are some naturally occurring borders you encounter on a daily basis? What are some human-made borders you encounter on a daily basis? X is for xylography. Xylography is the art of printmaking by woodcutting. Lots of propaganda, especially anarchist propaganda, has been produced using xylography. What was the last picture you drew? What are all the different ways you have made pieces of art? Y is for youth hostel. A youth hostel is an inexpensive alternative to a hotel. When spending the night at a youth hostel, you might stay in a large room with many people. Fortunately, this enables you to meet new friends and share interesting stories. What might be some differences between spending the night on your own versus sharing a room with many other people? When are some times you would rather sleep alone? And when might you prefer to sleep in a room with others? Z is for zine. A zine is a kind of mini magazine. Zines can be completely handmade, or they can be photocopied. A zine might be a DIY manual, a collection of poetry or short stories, a personalized historical account, a collection of recipes, a boring political tract, or anything else you can think of. Which of the zines above would you like to read today? If you were going to make a zine, what would it be about?